Welcome to Talk with Tara, the podcast where we dive into the bold, the funny, and the fascinating. I'm Tara, your host, bringing you unfiltered conversations on life, love, and everything in between. Hit that follow button so you're always in the loop. And now let's get started. Hey, ladies. Today I am so excited to have Dr. Gail Lewis. She's from Washington, D.C. She's based there, and she's a relationship, marriage, family, and sibling therapist with an MSW and an EDD in consulting psychology. She's the author of multiple books on relationships and is known for her work helping women build fulfilling lives with or without a partner. Now, I found Dr. Lewis in an article that I read in The Atlantic that was very interesting about women learning how to love being single in a society that tells them they shouldn't be. So I reached out to her and she was so gracious, and she said she would talk to all of you listeners and give her advice. Welcome, Dr. Lewis, or I will start calling you Karen now, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Love your life doesn't necessarily mean love your life being single. Okay. And we'll probably get into that, but they're two very different things.
Well, since you're bringing that up, let's talk about the differences between that.
Okay. It is important to love your life, whatever you have. I don't know very many people who love being single, and there's a qualification. So I'm going to back up again. Okay. My study that I did 2 decades ago, so it I don't know how accurate it is today, but it was dramatic then. I interviewed women between 30 and 65 who were either always single or single again, returning to being single through widow or divorce. And the question was, do you love being single? Are you okay being single?
Right.
And the answers were, I love being single because I haven't met a man who meets what I want. 50% said that. 50% said, no, I'm not happy being single because I haven't met a man who.
Right.
Exact same 50, shook me up. Exact same 50%. I think that it's not just our society says we are a married society. We will talk about that, I'm sure. But most people are relational, would like to be in a relationship, want to be loved, want to be touched, held, adored.
Yes.
That usually lasts, through the infatuation period of new relationships. Right. That extreme of being adored generally does not last very long. So most women would like, in the best of all worlds, if they got the right person, to be with somebody.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But there isn't somebody there. If there isn't someone there, or if you had someone and you lost them for whatever reason, there is what I call it the ambiguous loss. If you could have the right person, that's exactly what you want. And if you can't have that, you're fine being single. Mm-hmm. Or maybe not fine being single. And that's part of what we'll be talking about, I suspect, of how to make it fine being single.
How to make it fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless or until or if, because you never know if that right person for you is going to come along. So I call it an ambiguous loss because you don't know. Yeah. If you knew for sure that what are we going into, 2026?
Yeah, like if you knew in 1 year or 2 years.
Or 10 years.
Right.
That you were going to meet the man that you would really want to be with, then you probably would settle down and you'd be more okay with your life and pay more attention to making sure you love your life being single, because down the road, you know what's coming.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
The ambiguous part is you don't know. Yeah, so do I grieve now or do I wait? Mm-hmm. And the term ambiguous loss I stole. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it was originally used by Pauline Boss in studying families of POWs. Mm. Were they going to come back? Were they not? She then went on to study cancer patients, a family of fatal people with very serious cancer, and applied the term, do we give up and settle in with the loss of this soldier who's not coming back? Or do we keep it open because maybe he's got our heart open because maybe he or she is coming back? So, and it's that same ambiguity. We don't know. And
nobody likes ambiguity. I mean, it's not a fun place to be in this gray zone either, right? Sorry for interrupting, but.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do you go about living with the ambiguity as opposed to living with what's wrong with me that I haven't found a man?
And that is the narrative
that
most women have.
Exactly. And I am annoyed at some of my colleagues who write these wonderful books about here's what you should do. Here's how you meet a man. Here's how you should change yourself. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do this, blah, blah, blah. What you need to do to make that man appear in your life.
Right.
I'm not sure that anything that you can do.
But can't you work on yourself? I mean, if you do have blind spots and, childhood trauma or things that have been hurting you in your past or you've noticed have been a pattern, you could work on those.
You should work on those with or without a man.
Right.
The title of my book, With or Without a Man.
Yes, the title of your book, yes.
Yes, you do need to work on that. But working on that doesn't, and this is the part that gets me really annoyed for single women. The assumptions many professionals say is, if you work on these things, then you will be available to meet the man.
Right.
Well, who's going to tell the man to work on himself so he can be available for you to meet?
Right. That's true. What do you think of attachment, the attachment, like anxious attachment and these attachment styles?
I would want to stay away from mental health terms. Women are so beaten up with you are this and you are that. If you've got attachment issues, you should be in therapy dealing with your attachment issues. Irrelevant to men because you're going to have attachment problems in relating to women.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Relating to friends. And one of the things that I do talk about is now my book is very old. I wrote it in 2000, which now is coming up to 26 years old.
Yeah.
But I stand by it doesn't mention text. It doesn't mention online dating. But I stand by every word of that because it's still true today. If a woman is having, I always ask women about their friends. Do you have good friends? Close friends. If you're having trouble in your friendships, that needs to be worked on. What's going on for you that you are with people friends that are toxic friends?
Yeah.
There's a whole big thing about women choosing toxic friends. When you can have good relationships with women, then you have cleaned up something inside yourself that then makes you more available if the right person for you comes along. That's great. So I often tell women, work on your women's friendships first. Don't be out there looking for dating.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good tip. And you mentioned the right man, and it made me think about maybe women too have this, and men as well. Maybe the right man is this like dream person doesn't exist. I mean, what is the right man? And maybe you're waiting for something that's just this Prince Charming with all these qualities on your list. And I've noticed, and just yesterday I met somebody with this. I notice women will have this list and they don't match the criteria they're looking for. And I don't want to sound mean, but it's like, if you're looking for these 10 things and like you're not willing to budge, then shouldn't you be those 10 things too? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great idea, to be the things you want to be.
Yeah.
Carol Anderson, I think, in Flying Solo, again, a wonderful book years ago, wrote, I think that's where it came from, be the man you want to find.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I talk in terms of, women often make a list of, I want a man who is this and who's this and who's this. And I say that's the wrong order. That's the wrong perspective. It shouldn't, in my mind, it makes more sense to think, what do I need? So a list of, I need a man who can talk to me about feelings is more specific and more direct than I want the man to be able to do that.
But tall is on a lot of physical attributes are on women's lists, like tall. I was just talking to a woman yesterday at a party, and she said, "Oh, I'm newly divorced, and I want someone who's tall." And I said to her, "I think you need to take that one off your list because."
But you see,
kindness be like kindness, trustworthy, loving? Like, shouldn't those be on your list versus tall? I mean,
but if her list wasn't what she wanted in him, it wouldn't be on.
Right.
If I need a man to be tall, then why?
Why?
Because
they want to be protected, right? Feel protected, I think.
If that's what it is, then once you think in terms of what I need, then you have to ask yourself, why do I need a man tall? So maybe I really don't. Or
that's a good tip, ladies. Ask yourself why. Why is it that you need a tall man? What is that going to really do for you? Right.
And it may be that protection. Okay. So then you need to understand why you feel you need protection. And that may be the individual work you need to do with a therapist. Or it may be because I am fat. Society. I'm using that descriptively, not as a slur.
Right.
And a tall man would make me feel better about myself. Okay, that's a different. Okay, so then I need a man who can accept me who I am.
Yeah.
As opposed to I need a tall man.
Right. I love that.
So turning it around, what you need is obviously more specific.
Yeah. What about the financial? Women are making a lot of money today. Yeah. And they weren't back, in 1950s. They didn't have the opportunities they have now. And now some of them are surpassing their male counterparts. But they still say, oh, I want the man to be wealthy. I want him to take care of me. I want him to pay for everything. And I myself have this traditional mindset because I was born in that era where the man, took you out or he took you on a trip or whatever. And I think that gets us tripped up because we're making more money and then men go through divorce and they lose a lot of them. If they have a wife who stayed home, they made that choice. They have to give 50% of their assets away. So what they had, they don't have any longer. They pay for college and then they end up not where they thought they would be. And then maybe the woman is doing better and that's on her list too. So how do we get over this like financial disparity between male and female dynamics?
That raises so many different issues. Go back. If you were talking about what I need a man who makes a lot of money. Why? Yeah. Because I don't. Because I don't want him to feel badly that if I make more money than he. So what does that tell you about a man who would do that? Would you want to be with a man who was so intimidated by you that you make more money? So by reversing that question, it comes reversing the order of
the question. Yeah. But I think a lot of women feel like they want to be taken care of, this like dynamic. Even if they make a lot of money, they want to feel like that they're being wooed and taken care of. And maybe the man doesn't have the means anymore. But he's a good person.
Yeah, not only the financial means, a woman wants to be taken care of, so does the man.
Yeah.
He doesn't show it in the same way. He doesn't talk about it in the same way. But we all would like to be taken care of the way that theoretically, ideally, our parents did take care of us. And if our parents didn't take care of us, we really want a man who can take care of us to fill in what wasn't there before. Right. In which case, but that assumes the man has already done all of his emotional health, his emotional work, and he's emotionally healthy, and he can take care of you. Right. And that also, if he takes care of you, this is a podcast, so it's not virtual, right?
Right.
So you can describe, I have my hands here.
Right.
We have the man up here and the woman down here.
Yes.
And if the man's taking care of you, the woman's always down below.
That's true.
And then the woman's not going to like being down below.
Right.
Women worry that if they make more money, the man's down below.
Right. Exactly.
That doesn't necessarily mean he feels below.
Uh-huh.
And it probably is a man who is that intimidated is probably not a good partner for you. So the last thing a woman wants to do is, if she's up here, her hands, she's higher than the man. Right. The last thing she wants to do is bring herself down lower than the man.
Right.
So I talk in terms of heights. She doesn't want to make herself shorter than the man.
Right.
Because that diminishes who she is. And it also says she's not paying attention to who he is. Mm-hmm. Why is he even letting her do that?
Right.
Why would she want a man who would want to take care of her and treat her, in some infantilized, idealized way?
Right.
That's not a real relationship. That's infatuation.
Uh-huh.
That lasts, if you're lucky, you can even make it last, if you don't get engaged for too long, for a year after marriage. But it doesn't last very long.
Right.
Once the dishes and the garbage has to be taken out, and if there's a baby and the diapers, and if you're older and you now have to go to the doctor because, this aches and that aches, the infatuation goes very fast. There has to be a substance.
Right. Substance. Yeah. And I would think that's like looking for somebody who's trustworthy and kind and loving and loyal and fundamental values that are really important. I mean, healthy, somebody who wants to exercise and stay healthy with you, if health is important to you, which it is to me. So I think these are really fundamental, important qualities that women overlook.
And those would be the kinds of things, if those are important to women, those would be the kind of things that they would put on what I need from a man, not what I need in a man. But I think I even write about this. One woman was very clear. Those were not the things that she wanted. Mm-hmm. She was very clear. She wanted to be financially taken care of because she had supported herself forever, and she raised her kids, and she was tired, and she wanted to stop working. And she knew that she needed a man who was kind. She was willing to give up good communication, a mutual interest. She was willing to give up all that. And my thought is, if you know what you're willing to give up for what you want, that's fine.
Okay.
It's not fine, I don't think, to fool yourself and say, I want a man to take care of me, without looking at what you're going to give up for that.
Right. Yeah.
A man who takes care of you is going to either let you down because he's not going to be able to do it, or he's going to infantilize you. It's going to piss you off.
Right.
But if that fits what you need more than something else, for whatever reasons, as long as you're going into it open-minded, open-eyed, I'm not sure you need to tell the man these things,
right?
But you don't have to be able to be intimate with me. As this woman said, I can have my intimacy met with my women friends.
Yeah.
I'm never going to find a man that I can be intimate with. And that was okay for her. And I don't call that settling.
Okay.
I actually have an article that I wrote about what it means, that settling, because I think it has a bad tone to it. It's not settling that you're giving up. You're making a decision that you are looking at your options, you're choosing what's important to you, what's more important to you. And you're never going to get everything you want anyway. So what are the more important things? One of the fun things that I have, even couples who have been together even for a long time, come to me as a marriage therapist, and they are furious at each other. And so I have them make a list of all the things that they really, really dislike about the other person. And I said, don't worry if it's 4 pages, big print, small print, 4 pages. Don't worry about that. Write down every little thing you don't like about the person. And then write down the things you love. And don't worry if there are only 3 things on there.
Right.
Because then I have them look at that 4 pages and categorize.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are the category comes down to 4 categories. There's 5,000 things they don't like about the person. It's down to really 4 different. He's messy,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And then you look at the balance. Okay, you got 4 categories that you really don't like, but 3 things you really love. What's more important?
Yeah.
Because you don't get everything you want. And this is, I blame the fairy tales, I blame the books, the movies. You don't get everything you want in a partner. You don't.
You don't.
You get more things you don't like than you like.
Yeah. Let's say, so I have a lot of women who have this fear that they won't, or they stay in marriages because they have this fear that they will not meet somebody. They stay in bad marriages. They're unhappy. They're in these sexless marriages, and they're just, with their roommate. The guy is their roommate, their husband. And they stay in these marriages because they're too scared. They say, oh, there's no one's good. They're all horrible men out there. And so I'll just stay here. It's comfortable. And then the ones that do get out of their marriages, they start dating, and it's pretty brutal. Like, the online dating is tough. I don't know if you have clients who come to you about it, but it's tough. And it's all because of expectations. They have this expectation that the grass is really green on the other side. And then they get out there like, maybe it's not so green. So what's your advice for women who feel like, okay, maybe I won't meet someone. Maybe this is my life.
They've already gone. So they've already left.
Yeah.
They've already
this
left.
is my life.
I like to think about a woman's life as a cake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't happen to like chocolate. Most people do. So I'll use chocolate.
Yeah.
If you don't like chocolate, make up your own flavor.
Uh-huh.
But a big, beautiful cake, rich, delicious, it is tasty. That should be your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you frost it with a man. The man is just the frosting to your already rich, delicious, fulfilling life cake.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get there. And that's why thinking about removing the guilt. I'm not meeting someone because it's my fault. When you remove that, then and you accept that there is going to be the ambiguity. There's going to be a little loss that you're going to be feeling anyway. If you accept all that, then what do you do with your life that you enjoy yourself and you feel really good about your life? You still have this little sad part, but it's not this big sad part. It's not your whole life.
Right.
It is just this, that's what women who can't have children. Women who are married and can't have children, they still go on with their life, and they always have a child die, or a child has a serious illness. A lot of people live with little pockets. You didn't get to the college of your choice,
right?
Or the job you missed the job that was your ideal job. A lot of us, most people, live with little pockets of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't need to stop us from making the rest of our life as rich as we want it to be. That's the hard part, trying to figure out how do you make it rich for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's especially hard on the weekends because you walk around, you go out, you see all these couples, grocery shopping together. Or you're at dinner and you see them at dinner with other couples, or you're home and everyone's out to dinner as other couples in your home. And do you have any tips for women who are, have to feel lonely?
Okay, I will talk about weekends, but I first want to go back to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Women will tell you about how sad it is that they see these couples there.
Yeah.
What they don't notice, there are more people single, or at least alone. You don't know if they're partnered or not. Most couples don't. It's newly married couples usually, or newly romance couples who shop together.
Right.
So there are far more people who are there by themselves. They also don't notice the couple who are there who are arguing about whether we get this or that.
Right.
Okay. So we start with an assumption, and we see our assumption.
Yeah.
But that's a grocery store. I just had to.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no doubt that weekends, and I'll talk about being with dinner with couples. in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no doubt that weekends are hard for single women. Those are times probably it would be a good idea to find courses that you like.
Okay.
Or in my book, one woman talked about how she had a chart. Now she was more precise, but had a very full life. She went through the newspaper, the events coming up, and she had a calendar.
Uh-huh.
Far more organized than I can be. But she wrote down all the things coming up that she wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
So that she would, in advance, plan her weekend.
Yeah.
And maybe it's in 3 weekends from now, this play is coming that she wants, or this music group that she wants to see, or this juggler or whatever. But she would fill in this calendar and then as she's coming up to a weekend that is empty, then she'd be thinking about, how do I want to fill it? Okay.
Yeah.
Most of them are already filled.
Mm-hmm.
We have it in our head that dates are Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
And so you should only go out on a Friday or Saturday if you were with a man, if you're a woman,
Mm-hmm.
which if you actually go out on this Friday or Saturday, you will often see women together. But if you're only thinking, I don't go out because I don't want to feel worse, you won't notice that there are probably more women out there together than couples.
Yeah, I've been looking. I've been noticing, and I see that. I have been noticing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. I see a lot of women out together having dinner on a Saturday night or Friday night.
And some of those women might be partnered or married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because their husband is a deadbeat who likes work. She may even love her husband or partner.
Yeah.
But he'd rather sit home and watch TV.
Yeah, exactly.
With the boys. So yes, being able, and that's why having good friends is important.
Yes.
Okay, but let me talk about couples.
Okay.
Friends of couples. Years ago, I was single, and I asked one of my couple's friends. I would have them to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I would have dinner parties, invite couples. I might or might not have some single friends there also.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have any single friends or they couldn't come, it would just be me and the couples.
Mm-hmm.
They would be my good friends. So I asked this other couple, not one that I invite to my house, I said, I'm curious, you talk to me about these dinner parties you have, but you never invite me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a good friend who said, I thought you would feel uncomfortable. Excuse me, who would feel uncomfortable?
Right. Yeah. Did she invite you, end up inviting you?
But at first I said, if you thought I would be uncomfortable, ask me.
Uh-huh.
Give me the chance to say, no, I really feel uncomfortable doing that.
Do you think they're uncomfortable, some of these women, because they're worried you're going to go after their men? I think sometimes there's that.
When I wrote this book, and I was writing it in the 90s,
Uh-huh.
that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I hope it's still not a big thing now. But, it was really publicized that women were worried that the men would be attracted to their friends.
Yeah.
So then what kind of man are you with?
Exactly. Exactly.
That should be a clue that you should not be in this marriage, or you should get yourself, you and your spouse or partner, get you to a therapist to figure out what's going on, that if you have a single woman to your house, he's going to be attracted to her.
Right. Exactly. That's just, yeah, I have dinner parties and I invite couples, and I did that recently. I had a dinner party and I invited a couple, and then I had my girlfriend come. I invited 2 couples and my girlfriend. So the 2 of us were alone. We weren't coupled. And I could tell the guys were a little bit uncomfortable. The fact that, so her husband was abroad and my partner was not in town. And for me, it's not a big deal. I don't care. But I could tell they were like, oh, why isn't he here? Why isn't your partner here? And I think there's this construct that we have to, as a society, we have to stop this construct. I think a mix of people that are couples and singles are so interesting because they're doing different things. And the conversation is more interesting. And, I think you should encourage your friends to Karen's point, and just like invite me still, because I know one of my friends, you know, has mentioned that that's an issue, is that as soon as you break up, like you lose those couple opportunities. You don't get invited to the couple's trips. And maybe that's something else you have to grieve. And you just create your own network of female friends and a
So
group that
if
you do things.
so if a married friend drops you from traveling with you or going out to dinner with you, then before dropping that friend, I would
Yeah,
have a very serious conversation with that friend. What kind of friendship are we?
right. Exactly.
If you're uncomfortable, are you really worried that I'm going to steal your husband?
Right.
If that's what you think of me, then we have a serious problem in our friendship. If that's what you think of him, you got a serious problem in your marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are conversations that women don't think to have that would be really, really helpful.
But Karen, these conversations make these people who have not done the work, uncomfortable. People don't like direct, honest conversations. I've noticed they shy away from them. And maybe it's time to meet new friends if that's the case.
And that's exactly, that's where I was heading. If I would still suggest you have the conversation
Yep.
first, but if your friend can't do it or you're not comfortable with your friend's response, then it is time to bring in new friends, to work on making new friends rather than work on finding a man.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I think the man should try to work on finding you. I know that sounds, I've met so many women, and I don't want to be judgmental. Maybe I would be in the same situation, like this desperation to partner up. And I think that you send an energy when you have that kind of desperation and your life isn't filled with other things. I think, ladies, that it's really important to fill your life with things that bring you joy. And then that energy, that joy will just come out when you're out. People will feel your confidence and be radiant, and they'll be attracted to you. I really believe that. Mhm.
Wait. You don't know that they will be attractive because you don't know that they have done their work.
Right.
They may be more intimidated by having a very healthy woman, a
Right.
full, rich, caked woman. And the desperation, a man who can pick up the desperation needs a woman who's desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Is that a good basis for a relationship for a
No.
man to be? So this is the thing that literature and many professionals who write and consult with single women, I think they miss that. You have to worry about yourself, but is the man doing his work?
Yeah.
So when you're still focused on what you want from him, you're not focusing on yourself, and you're not paying attention to, has he done his?
Right.
Who was I talking to? Just a few days ago, who was horrified when I said, oh, I know who it was, a woman who was 32, and I
Mm-hmm.
was telling her that I always tell men, single or single again, men and women, on the first date, on the
Mm-hmm.
very first date, and if you can't do it on the first, do it on the second. Do not wait till your third. Ask this question. In your last important relationship, what was your part of why it didn't work?
Mm-hmm.
You need to ask that for yourself, of course. But you want to ask that for the man because that will tell you whether he has learned anything.
That's
Any
good.
man who tells you that, his woman or his wife, ex-wife, was awful and she was this and she was that, well, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. But what did you learn about yourself in that relationship? And if he can't tell you anything he learned, you're getting someone who is not going to be an emotionally available man to you.
Mm-hmm. That's
He's going
good.
to
So
bring
ask
the
them,
same stuff he did back then to you.
what was your part? So you're having dinner, and you're talking. And so just have a question, in your last relationship, it takes two. It always takes two. Just
No,
curious.
I don't even say that.
Don't say that. Okay.
Don't even say that
Uh-huh.
because that that because that's not necessary.
Okay.
It's not necessary to get to the point of what he's because that can lead him to saying, "Oh, but she."
Right. Okay. Okay. What do
Go
you
ahead now.
think that you did? What do you think was your part in why your relationship did not work out? That's the
What was
question.
your part, or what did you learn?
Or what did you learn? Oh, what do you learn is good. It's more positive. What did you learn
Yeah.
from why your relationship didn't? I like that better because it's not putting the person on
What
the
did you
spot.
learn about your part? What did you learn about your part in why the relationship didn't work?
Okay. That's a really good tip. I like
And
that.
and this woman the other day said, on the first date,
Yeah.
she'd been with this man for 6 months,
Yeah.
7 months, and did not know if he'd been married before or if he has kids.
Oh, wow.
He never mentioned it.
I mean, that's a simple question on the first date. Have you been married? Do you have kids?
It just felt like it was intrusive. It didn't come up. She didn't want to be intrusive. So, you
That
know,
feels self-abandoning. I think women self-abandon them a lot on these dates. And I always give the advice, you don't need to talk about all your trauma and dish out everything the first 3 dates. I think hold back, be elusive, be mysterious.
and
But
and
yeah,
and may I tell you why?
yeah.
Because when a woman talks about all of her problems, the man can then be really empathic to her problems,
Hmm.
and then she'll find that appealing.
Hmm.
He
But they
doesn't know
also
anything.
get turned off. Some men just get turned off. Like they
Right.
don't want that at the beginning.
And if he gets turned off, he gets turned off. But I want to say, if he is drawn to that, what is she teaching him about who she is?
Well, that's a red flag if he's drawn to that. That seems like a narcissistic kind of
Exactly. So therefore,
disorder.
that to me is the main reason I would suggest women don't do that,
Yeah.
because you don't want someone who is going to be drawn to, be
Chaos.
either chaos or
Yeah.
being a helper or having to be one up to you because you need someone to protect you and take care of you because you aren't strong enough to take care of yourself.
Right. Yeah. Because, well, I hear a lot of men are attracted to the damsel in distress. So,
It was in the John Wayne movies. Now,
hmm,
that dates me, I understand. But
yeah, but it's just something I think, but that could be like why we're attracted to the fairy tale guy too, the Prince Charming, and they're attracted to the Cinderella damsel in distress. I mean,
exactly.
these are the social norms that they've also watched in these like animated movies growing up, as children, where they're
And,
like hero protecting the woman and coming on the horse.
and they have to maintain that. If that's something a man has been indoctrinated with emotionally, he's got to maintain that, in which case the woman's not going to learn anything about him,
Yeah.
which
But
is
I
why
think
that question.
yeah, is important. But I also think not self-abandoning yourself, not asking a question that's pretty normal, standard, that's self-abandoning, and because you're worried about what the guy is going to think. Um, and also, I mean, that's kind of contradicting what I'm saying. You don't want to say all your stuff to turn the guy off. I think that's a little bit different. I think it's good just to kind of have fun and get to know somebody, ask some basic questions when you're first dating. There's no rush. And if you're curious about something, I think if you don't ask, you're abandoning yourself. Like you should be able to say, so do you have kids? Are you married? Have you been married before? Like how long? You should know that because you don't want to be out with a married man unless you're into a polyamorous relationship, which is a different podcast.
That's right. Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So before we wrap up, this has been really great, Karen. But before we wrap up, so you gave some advice on planning your life. I really like that for women. If you're alone, plan your life. Like have a calendar of things that you want to do. Make friends that are going to do those things with you. Any other tips on learning how to live in ambiguity that you may or may not meet somebody, in the meantime enjoying your life? Like any other tips you can recommend?
Well, you know about my crystal ball.
Hmm.
So let me describe that briefly. That if you had a crystal ball and you can look into it and see when you would meet this man, this perfect man, That's how you go to this crystal ball. You know, you can see in the crystal ball, it says you will meet him whenever. What do you need for your life right now? And it doesn't, I don't need to be saying, here's something you could do or here's something you can do, because most women have an idea, know what they like.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know what they like, then they have a serious problem. They ought to be in therapy and figuring out why they don't know what they like.
Right.
That what are the things that you would love to do if you were already married? What were the things you love? You love to give dinner parties, so give a dinner party.
Right.
You love to travel, so travel.
Mm-hmm.
So figuring out, you love to take painting classes, but it's only on Saturday mornings. And if I can't take any course on Saturday morning, because if I'm with a guy on Friday night, I'm going to have to leave, Saturday morning. If you want to take painting classes Saturday morning, take painting classes Saturday morning.
Right.
If God comes into your life and he's with you on Friday night, you can tell him I'll be back after class.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. I like that.
So rather than having, a list of here are some things that you can do, I do think the idea of planning your weekends in advance are really useful.
I do too.
And particularly making sure that you have something Saturday morning or Sunday morning,
Mm-hmm.
or sometime in the afternoon. So each day of the weekend, plan something that you would enjoy, either alone, volunteer at a dog shelter if you like dogs,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be with. Oh, can we talk about the physical touch?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Time
please.
to do that?
Yes.
Research is very clear that newborn babies, if there's are not held or not touched,
Mm-hmm.
they're called failure to thrive, and they basically die
Mm-hmm.
because they need touch.
Mm-hmm.
It's been documented. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's been documented that seniors, old people,
Mm-hmm.
need touch.
Mm-hmm.
Single women need touch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to remember that. And because if you don't have touch, you're going to be depressed.
Right. Okay.
Just because the lack of physical contact.
Mm-hmm.
So things that allow you to be touched, working with kids, your family may have nieces and nephews or whatever, dogs who love to lick you,
Mm-hmm.
Working pottery where you have the touch there of the,
Right.
if you've never hugged your friends, start hugging them.
Uh-huh.
So keep in mind that part of a woman's depression, and that's, you can't see, but that's in quotes,
Right.
part of a single woman's depression is only part of it is this lack of physical contact.
Okay. Yeah.
And that you can do something about. You
Mm-hmm.
can't guarantee that you're going to find a man who's going to hug you the way you want to be hugged.
Right.
Who's going to be the man that you would like to be with. But you have control. You don't have control over that, but you do have control over what can I put in my life that will allow me to be touched.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. So physical touch is important, even as you're not just for babies, but for a grown woman or older person.
Absolutely.
Okay. And hugging and things like that is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when it comes to like not having sexual touch or, release, I mean, there's so many tools now that you could buy for that,
Exactly.
for your sexual satisfaction.
And I will tell you that
Mhm.
every research, as far back as I can remember, when women have been asked, where do you get your real intimacy from? The research expected would be from man and from sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's from friends. And when asked if you had a choice between having a man who could give you good sex or but not a good relationship, let me say it differently. If you could only have sex or hugging and cuddling, which would you take? Women overwhelmingly say the cuddling, the touch, not sex.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot of your listeners know that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Know
Yeah.
what's
I
coming.
knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I mean, if you want sexual gratification, you can buy a vibrator. Like,
Yeah, and
so,
you know how to make yourself
yeah.
feel what you want to feel much better than a man can do.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to teach him. And if you aren't one to teach him, then you aren't one to be choosing the man that, I mean, it's the same. You need the same qualities to be able to assess, is this man right for me? To be able to say, if you have a man, sex works better if we do. Can we try this? Can we try that?
Right.
So speaking up for your needs.
Yeah. And not self-abandoning yourself. I mean, that's the number one thing.
There's that word again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Karen. It's been so great to have you. And I'm so excited for women to listen to this podcast. And thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Talk with Tara. If you loved today's episode, please follow the show and share it with a friend. Stay tuned. There's so much more to talk about. See you next time.